When we speak for the translation, do we have to speak slowly for them, or what is the recommendation?
Martine's nodding his head. He'll say,
yeah, thank you.
Please, and I'll be watching too. You can see, depending on your screen, you might be able to see him. He will raise his hands. We'll try to intervene when things are going too quickly. We also will have 2 translators so they can take turns and hopefully be able to stay on track with us. But we'll keep an eye on it. Thank you. It's a good point.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we are live. So take it away, Tracy.
Thank you very much. And welcome to everyone. I'm Tracy Webb. I think most of you probably know who I am, a facilitator for the meeting, and we'll go over what that means. But I have a favor. Would everyone please, if possible, be on video? You know, if we were in a room, we'd be able to see each other, and it goes a long way towards building trust and transparency. So for those who, I know there's a couple of staff members who don't need to be on video, but if all the participants could, that would be really helpful. Thank you. And you can just keep yourself muted until you're called on. I hate that formality, but sometimes the background noise can be a bit much. So, well, welcome. The first thing I want to do is acknowledge that the commitment that you all are making to this work is very, very important. And it's a time commitment, but there's also a commitment of yourself, parts of yourself, and of bringing your authentic self to this. That is difficult. This work is hard and it's exhausting because there's no immediate one answer to change, in terms of improving racial relations and interactions with police. It's very complex. So thank you for being here. I ask that you give yourself grace. After these meetings, you may need to really decompress. You may need to take a few days to decompress. You may need to do something special for yourself. And that is really, really, really important. My role as the facilitator is really to get out of your way, in a sense, to encourage as much robust, authentic dialogue as possible. My style, for those of you who work with me, know that I will ask questions and probing questions and whatnot. But you also should know we're going to go through some of the ground rules that I want to discuss with you all and put up for some conversation. But there will be no harm done to anyone in this meeting. I just want to say that. I want to go on the record. To the extent that I can help prevent that, that any harm comes to anyone in this meeting, I want to do that. That doesn't mean that we won't have robust conversation, but we're not going to attack each other. That's not going to get us where we need to go. That's not going to help Petaluma be a better place. So I just want to put that out there, okay? So let's, if we might, actually, before we start the slides, I do want to acknowledge the verdict. I don't know about all of you all, but my stomach was in 27,000 knots. It's still in maybe 20,000 knots, because although, quote unquote, justice was served, at least at this point before the appeal, as this is a wonderful quote I wanted to share with you from the New Yorker. They sent me something today, and it's from their contributing writer, Ibrahim X. Kendi, who wrote, How to Be an Anti-Racist. And he said, for Black and brown people, this is the terror of American policing. When we do not comply, we die like Dante Wright did. When we do comply, we die like Adam Toledo did. So know that your Black and brown colleagues are particularly terrorized, right about now. And so be gentle. And I also want to acknowledge our Asian American and Pacific Islander population, and the whole range of BIPOC populations who have also been terrorized, just in general over these last year, really. So we're here to try to find a path of healing. This is not a kumbaya moment. I don't believe in those. This is going to be hard work, but I know you all can do it. So let's get started. I'm going to pull up the slide deck. I'm going to toggle back and forth between the slide deck. I'm not hiding behind the slide deck. We just need. So if we could, please, Ingrid, pull up the deck. Thank you. So this is our first meeting. We have 6 calendared or 6 scheduled. Nothing's written in stone, but that's what we have so far. What I really want to emphasize, as I said, is that this is your meeting. This is your conversation. This is your city. And we're going to work together to make it a welcoming and safe place for everyone. So if we might turn to the next slide, please. I want to walk through the agenda very quickly.
Tracy, real quick, it does
Yes.
look like our city attorney, Eric Danley, has his hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Eric, you do need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, it was delayed meeting. I don't know why. Sorry to interrupt, Tracy. I was just going to ask if you could please, if we could do a roll call to make sure we record the members present.
Oh, perfect.
Proceed.
Okay,
Thank
so who has that list? Ingrid, do you have the list, or does Susie have the list?
Susie has that list.
Okay, Susie.
Yep, and I'm happy to go ahead. This will be in
Please.
alphabetical order. Joel Bruner DeQueen,
Present.
Liz Chacon,
I'm present.
thank you. Angeles Cruz,
Present.
Anne Marie Daniels, Claudia de la Peña,
Present.
Ramona Faith,
Present.
Rabbi Ted Feldman,
Present.
Anthony Franklin,
Present.
Johanna Garcia, Zaira Garcia,
Present.
Hanan Hunedi, Eric Leland.
Present, sorry, present.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Eric Leland,
Present.
Sonia Lowry,
Present.
Sadie Martinez,
Present.
Julia Main,
Present.
Mike Miller, Joanna Pond.
Sorry, Mike Miller, present.
Oh, thank you. Joanna Pond,
Present.
thank you. Stefan Perez,
Here.
Kenyatta Reynolds, Fabian, Kenyatta Reynolds,
Here.
thank you. Fabian Romo Macias,
Present.
Faith Ross,
Present.
Mark Scott,
Present.
O Sturdivant, Joe, Risa Tinsley Green,
Present.
Pedro Toledo,
Here.
Catherine Wells,
Present.
Aaron Wilkins,
Present.
Lou Zwire.
Present.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Susie. Appreciate it very much. So the first thing that we are going to do is welcome. We did our little welcome. We're going to do introductions. And the first person that I would like to introduce is Martine Rivarola, who is going to, was somebody saying something? Okay. We're going to introduce Martine, who is going to explain how the Spanish translation process will work. So Martine, please.
Hi, Tracy, and thank you for the introduction. I'm hoping I am back on the English channel. I'm hoping everybody can hear me.
Yep.
Yes.
Good. Lots of familiar faces, so good to see you, everyone. I was asked to give you a brief explanation of what the Spanish communication policies are The first thing I'd like to say is that the Spanish communication policies for the city are in the making. We are translating several different texts, and now we're going to be doing live interpreting, simultaneous interpretation in Spanish for people to be able to on in at the city level, and the idea is to encourage more participation from the Latinx community. My background is in community engagement, and I have a team of people that are either translators themselves, professional translators, or communication specialists. And I'm very excited to be here and to be working alongside so many of you, and I hope to provide the best services possible.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you for your work. It's critically important. So if I'm too fast, you know, to give somebody a cue so they can tell me to slow down. All
Yes,
right.
that's very important for everyone, actually, and it's good that you mentioned, Tracy.
Yes.
Doing live simultaneous interpretation is very hard, obviously. I have the PowerPoint and the other things prepared, but if everyone realizes just to bring down the speed down just a little bit, that will help a great deal.
Thank you very much. And you know, the other challenge is we're not in a room together. I've done simultaneous translation with the person can look at me and give me the look, slow down. We can't do that. So thank you. We'll work through it. I'm sure it'll be successful. Okay, so let me do a few introductions. Yes.
One last piece. Martin, can you explain in Spanish how a Spanish speaker will be able to join the live translation?
Claro que sí, Aaron. Bueno, mi nombre es Martín Rivarola. Lo que Aaron me acaba de pedir es para todos ustedes que deseen escuchar esta reunión en español, todo lo que deben hacer es en su pantalla de Zoom, van a encontrar en la parte inferior que va a decir Spanish. Si ustedes apretan ahí, van a pasar al canal de audio en español y ahí van a poder escucharme a mí. Gracias. Thanks, Aaron.
All right, thank you. So I'd like to do a few introductions now, and I'm hearing some background noise. Somebody may need to mute there it stopped. Okay, so I'd like to introduce a few, or actually several people who are here from the city. So we have the city manager, Peggy Flynn. We have the police chief, Ken Savano, and we have the city attorney, Eric Danley. And now they're here as a resource when we discuss some of the topics. If you have questions or want to know what the city or police department has done in the particular areas, they're here for that. And they will be here the entire meeting. And Eric is particularly important to keep me out of Brown Act jail. So Eric, anytime you need to text me or ping me or do something, if I'm going in the wrong direction, just let me know.
Will do, Peggy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's walk through this agenda very quickly. What we're going to do is talk about the guiding principles for this committee, because it's really important to set the context and to set the tone. And included in that is participation and behavior, what that looks like. Proposed meeting procedures, because this is your meeting, and I want to be sure that these guidelines that I've come up with, with the rest of the team fit your expectations. We'll do some group introductions, talk about group dynamics, and then we're actually going to have a discussion. And in this first meeting, setting the priorities for what the issues that we want to talk about, the topics that we want to talk about. And then, of course, we'll have public comment. Now, as we begin to move into this agenda, I do want to put something immediately out for discussion. I am one that truly believes in respecting someone's time. So you guys are dedicating a lot of time and energy to this. We can do a hard stop at 8:30. That is only going to allow about 30 minutes for public comment, give or take, depending on where we are. Now, we can extend that a bit if you'd like to give the public more time to comment. And so there's two questions. Should we extend it past 8:30? And if so, I'd say maybe an hour to 9:30. And do we want to give people 2 or 3 minutes to talk in terms of public comment specific to issues that we raise here. So I would love to hear from you all. If someone wants to raise their hand, Ingrid can call on you because I can't see it all. That would be great.
Aaron, I can't see either. I can't see the hands.
Tracy, the first person we have with their hand raised is Eric, followed by Zyra.
Okay, please, Eric.
Yes, I think we should extend it to 9:30. I think it would be great to see how many people need to speak, but if it's a whole lot, let's do 2 minutes, but otherwise let's try to allow the maximum time. This is the first meeting.
Okay, Zyra.
I'm basically in agreement with what Eric had suggested. I too believe we need to extend it and also allow for 2 to 3 minutes for public comment.
Okay, are you okay if we go for an hour and then keep it at 2 minutes, depending on how many people we have?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
depending on how many people we have.
Okay, thank you. Others?
Now we have Faith.
Hi, Faith.
Faith, you need to unmute yourself. Thank you.
6:30 to 9:30 is a little long as far as I'm concerned. Are you trying to say that that's what we would do every time we meet, or are you just interested in this time that we meet, that we are meeting?
Well, I think if we open it up this time, for an hour, we'd have to continue each time, I would think, because I'm sure the conversation is going to become even more, in depth as we go forward and are working on specific issues. So I think if we open it to an hour this time, we probably ought to consider keeping it to an hour going forward.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
Oh, go ahead. What are your thoughts? Too long?
3 hours is a long time. But saying that, I would go along with everybody else.
Okay. Thank you. Others? We'd love to hear from whomever would like to share.
Sorry if I get your name wrong, but Hanan.
Thank you. Just to clarify for everyone, it's Hanan, like Japan. So my question is, if we're extending it for public comment, how would everyone feel about us not having live screen? I'm a single mom, and I do like to be able to have some FaceTime with my son before bed, if possible. Would it be comfortable for people if I went off live screen and was present listening with my son there, or is that not comfortable for everyone?
As the facilitator, I will say that's perfectly comfortable because you've also explained to us why. Do you see what I'm saying? It's very transparent, and I think that goes towards building a sense of trust. So I'd be fine with it. How about, is the group okay with that? I think that's a yes. I'm seeing a couple. I can only see 3 people, so I don't know.
I see a lot of nodding and a lot of thumbs up.
Okay. Thank you, and I appreciate it. And so if anybody,
Can we stop sharing screens so then people can see each other?
No, because we're going to go through this agenda. I just want to sort of get the pulse of the group on this. Is anybody else have any comments on the going to 9:30?
Tracy, we do have 5 more hands raised.
Okay, then let's go to the Ingrid, you were right. Let's go to the full screen so we can at least see each other a little bit.
So I have Ramona followed by Liz.
Okay.
Hi, thank you. My only comment, I have a couple actually. One is usually the later we go, the less attention we're able to give. And I would think that the public would want us to be very in tuned and up and listening to what they're saying. Is there any chance we can start earlier rather than going later? It's my one question. And I support the fact that, there are people that hadn't planned for this and they have to get off the screen. I don't care, but again, it goes back to what the public perception is. If half the people are off screen and half the people are listening, I think that doesn't send a good message to the public.
Very good point. Very good point. Okay. Others?
The next person we have is Liz.
Hi, yeah, I'm fine going till 9:30, but I have a similar issue in that if it's gonna go until 9:30, there are times when I'm just gonna need to be off screen because I had planned for that. But I'll be actively listening and I can always put the camera on and respond as needed. But for future meetings, if it is gonna be planned 3-hour meeting, if we could push it earlier, I like that. I think if Ramona just said that, it'd be earlier, it'd be better to start earlier today. Because I've been going 7:30 this morning, so it's just I've had it's hard to get. I gotta eat dinner still. So there will be times I'm gonna need to turn off my camera.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I mean, there is the thought about starting a bit earlier, like maybe, I don't know if people are interested in that at 6, maybe 6 to 9. Would that, I mean, what do you think? That's another thing I'm putting out there. Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I know we have other speakers. Aaron, I'll let you.
Rabbi Feldman, followed by Joel.
Okay.
Yes, it's going to 9:30 is much too late. I have a child who I need to attend to for a little bit of the evening, so I will likely go off screen at 8:30 or so, and just wanted to put that out there that I didn't count on that extra hour in planning.
Nah, I understand. Thank you. Others?
Yes, I just have the same issue. I've got 2 little kids, but I would be more than willing to do the 6 to 9. I think that's a great idea, just doing it a little bit earlier.
Okay. Others?
Next,
we have others, Aaron?
Yes, we have Lou.
Hey, Lou. Mute.
My comment is kind of a reiteration of Faith's. If we make a decision tonight, does that mean we cannot reevaluate after a meeting or two what we've chosen? Or because that's significant. If we make a decision and it means we have to do that all 6 meetings, then taking time to decide that carefully is important.
Well, I think the real concern, right, is how much time do we give the public? And that was, somebody brought that to my attention earlier. They said we're only going to do 30 minutes, but then people were saying, and this is such a heavy issue, or issues, these are heavy issues, that the public may have a lot of comments. So I don't think anything's written in stone, Lou, right? This is, I mean, things can be flexible. They can be flexible. And Eric, city attorney, if we decide, do we have to set a certain amount of time that we have to continue each meeting, or can we, for public comment, or can that be changed?
No, Tracy, particularly given the nature of this body and its work, I think flexibility is going to be important. I think the council would too.
Okay.
So it's the business being conducted well that's most important. So we're here to support that, and I think there's flexibility. And if there are questions about that, we can address them. Happy to do that.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron?
Tracy, we next have Kenyatta.
Hey, Kenyatta.
Hello. Is there a way to maybe like survey this for the next meeting so that we can move on to the body of what we're trying to work on instead of how long these meetings should go?
Well, we just need to decide for this one right now. Yeah.
Can we just keep it? Can we keep it as it is, as everyone planned, and then maybe survey it for the next one?
So that means we'd have about a half an hour only for public comment. That's an option if people want to do that.
I just think that's what people were prepared for. I don't know.
Yeah. So, we can do sort of a thumbs up, thumbs down. For this one, should we keep it to what we set and only allow 30 minutes of public comment for this first one? Let's have some okay. Can you see that, Ingrid? I got 1 thumbs down. Somebody help me count. I'm so blind.
Primarily thumbs up.
I see Zyra has a thumbs down.
Does not like that idea. Would you be willing to put a thumbs down?
Yeah.
Tracy, I saw 15 at least.
Yeah.
Which were a thumbs up? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's a quorum because under the Brown Act, you divide the number of people and you add 1, and that's a quorum. So that's 15. So I think what we'll do for this meeting, in order to respect what people plan for and that people do have children and families and lives and need to eat and, you know, breathe the air and whatnot. Let's end at 8:30. We'll have we may have a little bit more time for public comment, meaning if we finish the prioritization of what we're going to talk about sooner. And then we can do a survey, right? You guys, you know, Aaron and Ingrid, I think we can do a survey to see if we want to start earlier and maybe go 6 to 9, and we can send a survey out for the next meeting. Is that fair? Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Kenyatta. Okay, so let us now.
One last thing. Hanan has her hand up still.
Okay, I can't see it, so okay.
Okay, I think she's good. Thank you.
Are you good, Hanan? Okay, all right. Anybody else? Nope. No? Okay, let's now go back to the slides if we might. Thank you, Ingrid. We're for this time, we're going to keep the public comment. We're going to end at 8:30, just a little bit before 8:30. We might go a few minutes beyond that, but I don't think so. All right, so now let us go to the next slide, please. So the purpose of the committee, I just want to read this. You guys have seen it in the resolutions, but the purpose of the committee, Petaluma's Ad Hoc Community Advisory Committee, AHCAC, will study and discuss issues contributing to community members not feeling safe or welcome in Petaluma, and to develop recommendations to improve diversity, equity, and inclusivity in Petaluma. Those recommendations will then be considered when the City Council reviews citywide and police policies. Next slide, please. I'm going to go through these slides pretty quickly so we can get to the meat of the discussion. The guiding principles that we are going to abide by, it really is self-expression, and I think there should be a slash there. Safe expression is really what it is, because we want people to feel free to express themselves, to share what they really feel. Inclusiveness and equity, easy participation and equal access, which has a lot to do with the translation services, as well as technological, assistance or access, meaningful engagement. We really want robust conversations, and it's really important that people feel that they can express what they want to express, even if it is the quote unquote outlier opinion. It does not matter. That opinion, there could be, a spark of brilliance in it that could get the committee to a point of consensus. So we want you to feel very, very comfortable sharing. Let's go to the next slide, please. So I sent an email out because there was some correspondence that came to my attention that a couple of the community members, or several community members, felt harmed by activity or words that other committee members had said or something, and they were concerned, not so much in regards to this body, but other things. So I want to read this, and I normally won't read to you because I know you can read, but I want you to hear this with the emotion that I put into this when I wrote it. As facilitator for the sessions, my goal is to ensure that we engage in authentic and productive dialogue that produces a specific set of recommendations for improving the racial climate in Petaluma. To that end, I wish to inform the committee of the following rules of decorum that will be in place as long as members serve on the body. Racist, sexist, or any other type of derogatory language will not be tolerated within the group conversations. I, as the facilitator, will immediately call out and identify such behavior language, and the perpetrator will be given one warning. A second offense will result in removal of that individual from the group, with their organization asked to replace them with their alternate if possible. And we'll talk about alternates down the road. Political differences are an important fabric of this country. The AHCAC will not be a platform for either end of the political spectrum. The purpose of the group is to have dialogue that leads to a path forward to improve the racial climate in Petaluma, so that all people particularly people of color, feel safe and welcome within the city. Attacking another member's political affiliation will not be tolerated and will result in a warning. The second offense is grounds for removal and will result in that person being replaced by their group's alternate should one exist. The AHCAC is not the stage for public or political theater. It is a serious working committee designed to position the council to implement meaningful change. To that end, the facilitator will stop political speeches, attacks, and discourse that leans into personal attacks. While we cannot control free speech outside of the AHCAC, we, and I particularly, request that members refrain from using the discussions in the group as a basis for attacking other members in social media outside of the sessions. It will be very hard for the group to produce a serious blueprint. Focus becomes management of interpersonal conflicts. We are all adults. Let's respect each other. Disagreement is a wonderful thing, but let's do it with a certain amount of decorum. This work is absolutely critical for the health of the Petaluma community. We all have to work hard to express our concerns in a manner that is authentic, but does not devolve into personal attacks. Thank you, and I look forward to working with all of you. We're not there yet. Any questions about that email, or what's my perspectives, or any disagreement, any thoughts? Love to hear from you.
Tracy, we have Zyra with her hand up.
Hi, Zyra.
Hi, thanks so much, Tracy. The only question, I so appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much. Honestly, it makes me feel a lot better and safe to speak freely, especially publicly. Would we be able, though, to also hold closed sessions?
That's interesting. You know what? You know who I have to ask? Eric.
Thanks, Tracy. I think it's unlikely that we will have any discussion of the committee that qualifies for the rather narrow and limited closed session exceptions that exist in the Brown Act. I actually didn't anticipate that question. I can pull it up and start reviewing, but all the closed sessions that are authorized in the Brown Act are in topic areas that the legislature has decided it's actually in the public's interest that those occur in closed session rather than openly, and they have to do with things like pending litigation, claims, personnel matters, security matters, labor negotiations, that sort of thing. And those are, I don't think those are the business of the committee. If something comes up, we can look at it more specifically. But I don't anticipate that there would be any closed session business that would be consistent with the charge of the committee.
Got it. Thanks so much, Eric.
If that comes up, we'll be happy to look at it. Thank you.
Zyra, did that answer your question? You have any other secondary questions, or is that okay?
No, I mean, that definitely is okay. I was also asking just in terms of also for public safety in case, we needed that extra. Again, I don't know what closed sessions all entail, but I think our city attorney summarized, but I was just curious if it could be a potential resource for public safety for our members of the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And the short answer to that is I think not, but as Tracy has said, for the committee to be successful, everyone's going to have to feel safe participating fully. And so if those concerns exist, we'll want to know about it so we can address them appropriately. I suspect it will not be through closed sessions, but we'll certainly want to address it. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. That answers my question.
Okay. Thank you. Aaron, anyone else?
Yes, we have Lou next.
Hey, Lou.
Hi. Yeah, I'm curious about whether the committee members have any limits on meeting with other committee members to discuss the business of the committee outside of the meetings.
And Eric?
Thank you, Tracy and Lou. Yes, and the short answer And if it's helpful, we can provide some resources that may be the most efficient way about the Brown Act requirements. I'll be happy to do that. But what a quorum of the committee cannot meet away from an agendized meeting to discuss its business, because if that happens, it's basically a secret meeting of a majority of the body. Otherwise, it's understood that less than a quorum will have some interaction. But be careful about what we call serial meetings, where messages go from a member to a member to a member to a member to a member, say via email or reply all, resulting in a quorum communicating that way, not at the same time, but serially. So that's what I would say regarding that. And what I think we'll do is I'll work with staff. We have an overview reference guide of the Brown Act requirements I think will be helpful for the members. We'll share that with you. And then if you have questions, please let staff know and we'll address them for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Aaron?
Tracy, next we have Hainan.
Okay. Hi, Hainan.
Hi, Tracy. So I appreciate what you said, and I have had some concerns about or wonders about the political piece, because for some people, a person's identity is considered political, and I would really appreciate clarification on that for our committee. There's 3 parts of my identity that are at times considered political, whether I want it to be or not. Is there any way to address that?
Oh my gosh, that is a tough one, right? To parse that. That's an excellent question. I'm just dealing with this with a client the other day. I'm going to taking a stab at it. I would say if it's overtly political, meaning, you know, you're calling somebody out by political party, or you're making generalizations, you know, based on political, someone's self-identified political attributes. I mean, strictly in the sense of, you know, whatever your political party is. I think we need to be careful of that. I mean, I know that's kind of a non-answer, but it's the best one I have. I think I would ask as adults that we just, you know, realize we're trying to get someplace, right? And, you know, the old adage, you don't discuss politics or religion. Yeah, that's not so much true anymore, but we have to be careful and parse our way through this so that we can actually have real conversations that don't, I guess, fall into rhetoric. Does that help at all, Hainan? I know it's kind of a non-answer, but it's a tough one, and I'm trying to work my way through it.
It helps. I guess I just want to say that I hope that if one of us speaks to an experience we had that is somehow related or connected to who we are, who we were born, not considered political.
No, I couldn't. I don't think that would be. I really don't. So, and if it that is not something that, as a facilitator, I would feel the need to call out, as it were. So, but I am mindful. I will be mindful, and you know, if I'm missing something or going too far, pull my coattail. Fair enough. I think that, well, I'm assuming that you guys will do that. I don't think you're a shy bunch. Okay. All right. Anybody else, Aaron?
Yes. Lastly, we have Ramona, then followed by Stefan.
Okay. Hi, Ramona.
Hey, Ramona, you're not on mute. Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm not sure. I just want to circle back to Lou's question. I know that when he asked the question about discussions outside the ad hoc committee, and it kind of went to quorums, and that I think the question, and my question is, you know, we will want to bring and provide updates to various committees that we sit on. For instance, I will take information to the Petaluma Healthcare District Board meetings, our CHIPA collaborative meetings, not specifics per se, but themes or trends or whatever comes out of those discussions. It would be helpful to have possibly you know, after each session, to have a possible 5, 6, 7 bullet points that you can send out to committee members, so we're all kind of highlighting the same thing.
So we will have minutes, summary minutes. You know, they're not going to be detailed minutes because we don't have a secretary for this committee, but we will have someone in the city taking, summary notes, and those will be sent, the minutes will be sent out. And Eric, City Attorney, I don't think there's an issue with the committee members sharing the minutes. I mean, they will not have been ratified yet, right? They'll be draft minutes until the next committee meeting. But would it be okay for them to share that with their respective sponsors, if you will, their particular group that nominated them? Absolutely,
Tracy. There's a good discussion in some of the case law about what is expected of local government officials, both in terms of their actions at public meetings and in terms of their interactions with community members. And what it recognizes is that they're selected for their roles because they're community leaders and opinion leaders, and accessible, and they're expected to be accessible. So sharing the work that the members are doing on the committee with their colleagues and in their other work is a great thing. So I think that's to be encouraged, and they can do it via the minutes even before they're ratified, because those are public documents. They can do it with their own comments. That's fine. The Brown Act issues really have to do with gatherings of the actual committee members, when it could result in a majority of them reaching some kind of collective concurrence. That means it's a sharing of their viewpoints, not just information like a staff briefing or something, or agenda materials. So that's really the issue. So the kind of sharing that's being discussed right now is not only okay, it's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ramona, did that answer your question? Yep. Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. Others? Aaron, is there anyone else?
Yes, we have Stefan.
Okay.
So, yeah, hello. I wanted to clarify on basically the same question. So would that mean that we're restricted from collaborating outside with the other members, like on an action item that we might want to? Or I just want to kind of clarify if we were able to do that, if that would be okay.
Well,
or just present it.
It's what's prohibited is a majority of the committee, which what do we say the quorum number is, Tracy, for this?
15.
So what's prohibited is 15 of the committee members gathering away from an agendized meeting. Less than that is not a problem.
Okay.
And the only potential issue about doing work away from the meeting to come back is that just has to do with what's the procedural focus, and what's going to be on the upcoming agenda, and whether there's going to be sort of subcommittee type activity or that kind of stuff. But in terms of the Brown Act, the real issue is 15 people or more gathering.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Is there anyone else?
Tracy, there's not.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. Okay. So that is, we'll put that one aside for now. And now we're going to talk about the city council resolution. And so what the resolution does, obviously, it establishes the basis for the committee, but it also, we have guiding principles, that were listed earlier, but I want to explain what each of those are. I think we put self-expression. It should also be safe expression. The city is committed to ensuring that the committee is a safe space for expression so that all participants feel safe and comfortable expressing their experiences, perspectives, and opinions. Inclusiveness and equity. The city will continue to conduct outreach to encourage the participation of all members of the community to engage in this dialogue, ergo Spanish translation and interpretation. We will strive to employ all culturally appropriate ways to engage those who may not have historically been engaged in discussing city policy formation, particularly community members from our Latinx and other ethnically diverse communities. Easy participation and equal access. Communication and information will be timely, easy to understand, and offered in a variety of formats appropriate to the given process. I'm not reading it all, but the key parts. Meaningful dialogue. The committee will provide opportunities for all community members to participate in an open process free of predetermined outcomes, to consider and deliberate on feasible options. And finally, accountability. The city is committed to a fair and open process honest and respectful participation, informed and fact-based discussions, and outcomes that reflect input. And member expectations, committee members are expected to attend monthly meetings and actively participate in a positive and meaningful way while adhering to the guiding principles. Now, I do want to put something else up for discussion. I know we're going over a lot of procedural issues, but it's important this first meeting, so we're all on the same page. I am not, and I'm going to go on the record here, of a fan of alternates, because thus far we only have 5 more meetings scheduled. This is really setting up to, this is a setup meeting, right, for our business to be done. I'm concerned about alternates because of the storming, forming, norming, performing model. And I'm going to talk through that soon. But I just want you to think about that, because I'm going to come back and ask you guys what you think about alternates once I explain that model, which a lot of you know, but I just want to talk about it relative to this committee, and then we can decide if we should have alternates, which I really don't think we should, but it's your committee. Next slide, please. Okay, so here are the suggested procedures for the meetings. And I say suggested because I want to have some discussion about this. So we'll start with an agenda, which, you know, it'll pretty much follow the same after this is a, you know, as I said, we're setting up procedures here, but it'll pretty much be the same, you know, going forward. The majority of which time will be devoted to discussion. The quorum is 15 by the Brown Act. We will take what are called action minutes, which are summary minutes, and then they'll be distributed to all of the committee members, and then they'll be ratified or put up, or a motion will be made by one of you to ratify them, and it'll have to be seconded at the following meeting. There'll be robust discussion. I promise there will not be this much, you know, as they call it on Seinfeld, yada, yada. This is just setting it up this one time. And then we'll come forth. I mean, the whole purpose of this work is recommendations for the council to consider, and we'll use Robert's rules. So somebody will have to, you know, call the question for, you know, for a vote, because we're going to have to do a vote. Opinion on the record, and yeah.
Can I stop you for 1 second? If you can talk a little slower,
Okay.
That would help Martine out a lot in terms of translation.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I do this all the time. And it's even worse when I'm doing simultaneous translation live. I really get wound up. So as I mentioned, the suggestion is that we do a vote when it comes to deciding what goes to the council, what recommendations we're putting to the council, you know, on any particular issue. So I want to talk about this for a minute. What do you all think about this process? And please don't be shy. Aaron, do we have anyone that has a thought?
Yes, we have Zyra with her hand raised.
Okay, hi, Zyra.
Hi, thanks, Tracy. Thanks so much for this. I'm so then just to clarify, our committee will be voting on processes, including our own blueprints and framework to get started. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. At this point, really, I'm just putting this up here as a suggestion of, you know, how things will run. But the question that I'm kind of asking, and if you have more, you know, to say beyond my question, of course, but my question is the voting. I mean, I really think that people need to be given a chance to express their opinions, and I think that a vote is probably the fairest way. That's kind of my question.
Got it. Then yes, I'm in agreement for that. Also, just want to recognize that, you know, this is we are public servants to the public, to our community, and we are committed to basically represent our community. So I'm hoping that you know, other members in our committee you know, are aware of that and acknowledge that we're not representing ourselves or our groups. We're representing the community as a whole.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a very good point. Very good point. Okay, thank you. Others? Are there others, Aaron?
Yes, Anne Marie's next. And just note, once again, for all the speakers, if you can pause every couple sentences, just so Martine can gather and give a good interpretation. That's much appreciated.
Yes, thank you. So Anne-Marie Daniels, pronoun she, her. I agree with voting. My thought, though, is that this committee was put together kind of afterwards of getting a response from Peggy Flynn and Ken Savano on recommendations that were already put forth. So my thought is that since we only have 5 meetings, would it be beneficial for us to plan out those 5 meetings based on the recommendations that have already kind of been passed back and forth, so that we have a long-term plan for these 5 months, so that we're not going week by week?
That makes sense. So I think she really wasn't to plant everyone, but this leads me to jump ahead a little bit about what I'm thinking, but I want to do that now, Emery, so that I can answer your question and see what you think about it. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay, so the thought is that what we're going to do during this meeting, after I walk you guys through a couple of models, is we have populated essentially a voting ballot. Basically, it's a slide, right, with all of the topics that have come from the listening circles that were done in the summer, from the 21st Century Policing Report, from the voting that you remember the public did on February 22nd, and all of these different, and then the research that I did with you all through the interviews and whatnot. And what we're going to ask everybody in the group to do is to pick their top item. And we're going to, first round is we're just going to put them up and let's have a conversation. And if you want to add something that's not there, we'll add it. And then we're going to have voting for everyone to pick their top item. And we're going to come up with the top 10. And then we will start proceeding. Like the next meeting, we'll discuss this at the end, but okay, this is the number 1 item. Let's prepare to talk about this the next time. I don't think we're going to get through more than 1 topic in a meeting, because we really want to go into great detail and really flesh it out. If we get to 2, that's great. So if you guys could think, you're only going to vote for 1, right? And it'll self-rank what becomes 1 through 5, or if we have 5 more meetings. Does that make sense, Emery?
Yes, that does.
Yeah, but I can't see your face, but I can hear your voice. And I don't think am I hearing a little hesitation there?
Oh, no, it makes sense. And I think that would be a good way to go about it.
Okay.
And also, if we're voting through Zoom, because I think there's also some points that the city and our police chief have pointed out that they're either already working on, or that sort of thing too. So I would probably say that should also factor into the prioritization. There might be some disagreements on if what's already done is enough and that sort of thing as well. So but I think that should also factor into the thought process. And I guess for everyone's straw, because it's just kind of a straw poll vote, right? And then the most important to the committee will be first, and then second and third and fifth.
Yes. And like I said, I think I didn't planner everyone, but you're sure teeing things up beautifully. So because that's why, well, the city manager and the police chief are here. Of course, we want them in the conversation, but also they can, if you guys have questions about particular items, and also the city attorney, they can explain what the city has done briefly, right? So that the committee can be informed. Is that helpful? Okay.
Yes, if I'm answering, yes.
Okay. Yes, of course. All right. If we were in a group in a room together like normal human beings, I could see you. But okay. So, Aaron, anyone else?
Kenyatta had her hand raised, but just put it down. Kenyatta, do you have a comment still?
I was just gonna say I agree with Anne Marie. We don't know. Like they say that they've started things, and I think the last comments that we had from the last time was there was check marks, but really they should be ... because we don't actually know what they've completed or what's completed, and if we feel like it is completed. So I feel like that is something that information I think that we need to get in order to actually get to the meat and potatoes of all of this, is to kind of see where they're at, because this started back in February and here we are almost May. And so I would assume there would have been forward movement, but I don't know. So I would hope that some of those ... are actually now check marks, but I don't know. So I think that is kind of really good information to have before we can actually do some of this. So I was just.
Thank you. I fully agree. That's why they're here, so we can flesh it out a bit. And I'm looking at the time, it's 7:30. I can see that I think we're going to need to maybe start in the future. I'm going to put my 2 cents in, maybe at 6, and then if we can go to 9, because this, I know we're doing a lot of housekeeping now, but wait till we get in the conversations. Okay, so anybody else, Aaron, or?
Yes, we have one more. We have Faith, but just a quick friendly reminder to everybody just to slow down a little bit. We do have 2 interpreters, and they can only interpret as fast as they can. So fast, so a little bit too fast currently. Just slow it down a bit. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Faith?
Faith, can you please unmute yourself? Thank you.
My question is this: what about the questions from the community and their concerns? How will what their comments have? What about the comments that they have that will fit into what we're talking about now?
Okay, so the way we try to incorporate the comments that the community has made to date are through the when the public had the voting, remember, and we had a lot of public conversation February 22nd. So all of those topics that they voted on are in the slide. You'll see them, and that's why public comment is also important. So and then when you all go back and talk to your constituents, the communities communities that you're representing, that will be important to bring those thoughts back as well.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Aaron, can we move on? Let's go. I'm going to have to skip a slide because it's already 7:30. Actually, let's go to the next slide for a second. We were going to go around and do this. I don't think that, are you guys okay if we skip this, or would you like to do this and do it quickly? Your name, the organization you represent, and one word that describes your hope for this community. Would you like for this committee, your hope for this committee? Do you want to do that? It's up to you, or should we kind of jump into a little bit more of the business?
Business. Stop.
Business? Am I hearing business? Business. Okay.
Business.
All right. Okay.
Business. Being a lot of thumbs up for business. Okay.
Got it. Next slide. Okay. You know what? I wish that all of the groups that I facilitate would be as participatory and as vocal as you all are. This is wonderful. Okay, very quickly, I just want to put this for reference. This explains, I hope, why I am not a fan of alternates when you only have so far 5 more meetings on the book. So this is you guys have seen this: forming, storming, norming, performing. It's sort of the organizational change, 1A model. Whenever a group comes together, there's forming. People are trying to figure out who's who, where are they safe, where do they fit. Storming is when people start bumping heads against each other. Norming is when you kind of find that sweet spot and you start working together, and performing is when you really can get to do the business that's at hand. And there's a wonderful metaphor I'm going to go find two big stones to show you the next time. But the Buddhists believe that human relationships are like two stones rubbing together, and that over time they smooth out. And what that means, my interpretation of that, is that conflict is not bad. I think conflict is a wonderful thing. It's how you handle it, because you become better rubbing against each other, figuratively, learning from each other. But every time you bring a new person into the group, you have to trust me that it starts all over again, because that's another dynamic in the group, even though it's one person. That's why I don't think alternates are a good idea. We don't have a lot of time. So what I'm thinking is that I know things come up, life happens, we're in a pandemic. If you miss 2 meetings, you really need to step off. You really do, unless there's, I can't think of any other thing to say that we need to keep the continuity going. So quickly, I want to hear from you guys. And I say quickly just because of, we've got to get to the voting on these topics. But what do you think about not having alternates? And then if you miss 2 meetings, then you really need to come off. And we're going to also ask that if you have to miss a meeting, one of your 2 that you can't, please try not to, because we need your voice. But if you have to, please watch the video of the meeting prior to you come back when you come back. So what do you think about not having alternates? We can do a thumbs up. Oh, I see a hand.
Can we take off the share screen so that we can just do thumbs up, thumbs down, so it's easier and quicker?
Yeah.
Maybe people can use raise hand to vote.
Okay. All right. So is there anyone that has something burning to say about this? Like your head will explode if you don't say something?
I do, really quick. My name is Julia Main, and I'm representing a school, and we will be gone July and August. So I know I may be gone for a month, and I think it might be nice to have another person from the school to be able to be here. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm going to put it back to the group. You guys kind of know how I feel. I do hear you, Julia. It would be nice to have a representative. Kenyatta, I see you. I'm coming to you. Okay. She's like, answer me. Okay. But I'm just concerned about that dynamic all over again. So I don't know. Kenyatta, what's your thought?
My thought is that the last meeting we had about St. Vincent's is that the representative didn't live in Petaluma anyways. So that was already kind of a point of contention. And then if she's not going to be there, I think maybe we need to find somebody else who can still step in that can be there the whole time.
Or be allowed to miss 2 meetings, right? Because Julia, you're saying that you wouldn't be around just for 2 meetings, right? Because there's only 1 a month.
I understand. I can make all of them except for 1, but
Okay.
Originally we had 2 people, and she she's not the alternate is not on any longer, and I can't help where I live. I'm just representing the school. So that was something that you guys decided. The last meeting was that whoever was on this committee has to be from Petaluma, and I understand that, but I don't live in Petaluma. But I'm willing to be on the committee to help as much as I can, or at least take information back to the school and have you have a point of reference with the school as well.
Okay. Thank you. Others? Any other thoughts?
Tracy, we have, sorry, Ann, we have 5 people with their hands raised. So I'm going to go to you first. Tracy, we have Rabbi Feldman.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that somebody who can't be here, maybe we allow somebody to sit in who can just listen to the meeting and participate but can't vote on the items that we may be voting on, because that person doesn't have the whole background and participation. That would be an alternative for somebody to sit in, or not to participate, but just to sit in. And that's just an alternate idea on that.
Okay. Thank you. Aaron, I'll let you call on the rest in order, please.
Next one I have is Catherine.
Hi, thank you. I actually liked your idea, Tracy, of if somebody does have to miss, there is a recording that they can listen to so that they'll be up to speed at the next meeting. I don't think we should have alternates specifically because of what you just said. Like once we get this group going, the dynamic can change if somebody else does have to come in the middle. So I like the idea of not allowing alternates having the 2 meetings. You know, if you miss more than 2, you cannot participate just because we need everyone's voice, and we really need everyone to be here. And that if a recording's available, then we can all be up to speed if we do happen to have to miss a meeting.
Yeah, thank you. The other thing that I know we have 3 or 4 more people, but I just want to put a bug in all of your ears. I don't want to get emotional. This work is hard for all of us. It is very hard for people of color. I will tell you personally, I spent half the day crying. Okay. You just can't see it because I'm really good with my makeup now to hide it. But, because even though there was a conviction, so, there's so many where there weren't. And so people of color, I'm not speaking for all of the people of color. I'm just telling you as a Black woman, sometimes, even though I got a loud mouth, speaking up is hard. Or we do it when we feel safe. If you're adding people in, there's that dynamic again. I don't know that person. I haven't interacted with that person. Do I feel safe sharing, my fear for my daughter? I mean, come on. So that's all I just want to put out there for your consideration. Is that's the other thing alternates do. They can be the nicest people in the world. That has nothing to do with it, but it's another dynamic that people have to balance. Okay, Aaron.
The next person, sorry if I mispronounced your name, is Sanja.
Sanja.
I don't actually have a comment, but I do now because you called on me. My hand was just up from before. But I think that, we can make whatever kind of decisions we want around attendance. But I think I like Tracy's initial suggestion just about having the person that misses the meeting watch the recording and then they can get caught up. I don't think we need to have an alternate.
Okay. Thank you. Next.
Pedro, your hand's raised. You can unmute yourself.
No, I'll pass.
Thank you. The next person we have is Joanna.
So I had made it, so I was a late add to the committee. I was appointed just a couple weeks ago. And I made it clear that I cannot attend every meeting because we have our Petaluma City School Board meetings on 2 of the dates. I do not mind stepping down if that's what the consensus is. And I made it clear that I could not attend them all and I would be willing to go back and watch the video. So whatever is decided tonight, I'm totally fine with.
It's all.
Yeah, but it sounds like we don't want alternates, and the NAACP said that they would provide alternates. I mean, we can let them know that that's not necessary, just as long as we have an idea tonight moving forward.
Yeah, and then as long as you watch the video, that'll be great, which I know you will. Okay. Okay. All right. Any more, Aaron?
Yes, we have 3 more. We have Risa, followed by Zaira, and followed by Anne Marie.
Okay.
Hi.
Risa?
I absolutely get what everyone's saying about continuity and stuff. I just personally, for myself, would advocate for alternates just because I'm still in high school and I'm not planning on missing any meetings, but just in terms of I'm not sure what's going to come up, and just being able to have an alternate would be helpful. But I also understand if that's not kind of the best way to go about things. So.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're happy you're here. It's wonderful. Okay. Welcome. Okay. Aaron, you said there's 2 more?
Yes, Zaira, followed by Anne Marie.
Okay.
I was just going to be in agreement that I don't think we need alternatives and support the initial recommendation from Tracy.
Okay, thank you. And Anne Marie?
I am also in agreement, but I also wanted to just point out, because having been at the listening circles and a lot of these meetings where we've had public comments, schools come up as something that was very important to the community. So I really appreciate Joanna and Julia and everyone else that is representing a school being here. And I want to make space for them. And it does sound like the folks representing schools do know in advance the days that they'll be gone. So we could probably schedule for the days that we will have them to discuss the schools, because I know that's a big part of what's happening and it always comes up in public comment. So I want to advocate for them, and I want to like just give a high five for you guys being here. I know that there's a lot going on.
Yeah, here's a high five. Okay. All right. Thank you. That's okay. So it sounds like, though, that the two folks, Joanna and Julia, you guys will each only have to miss 2 meetings, right? So sounds like, yeah. Okay. So it sounds like you'll fall within the, you know, we tried to make, I mean, in true, you know, in the corporate world, right? If you miss two out of 6 meetings, that's a problem. But this is real life. Okay. In a pandemic, all trying to work together. So to me, if you can only miss 2, okay, we'd love to have you stay. And so I think I'm hearing that we're going to not go with alternates, that you can miss up to 2, but we're not encouraging that because we really need your voice, you know, but we understand. Let us know in advance. Okay. That'd be great. And then make sure you watch the video, please, so that you can be as informed as your colleagues at the next meeting. Fair enough? All right. Nobody else, right, Aaron?
We have 3 more.
Oh, okay, now guys. All right, because it's almost 7:45. So let me do a process check, because this is your meeting. We still have to get through, you know, everyone talking about we're going to talk about what the topics are, the proposed topics. You're going to see if you want to add, then we have to do a roll call vote, the roll call doesn't take long. So we can then come back and show you the prioritization. So we're now bumping into public comment time. So I'm just going to put that out there. But I think we have to get through all of this. Fair enough? Can I have some thumbs ups or thumbs down? Or all right. Okay. So go ahead, Aaron. We have how many left?
They all put their hands down.
Oh, wait. I'm not trying to stifle conversation. You guys can put your hands back up. Just speak in staccato terms. Yeah, seriously. I don't want to stifle conversation. Go ahead and chat. I'm just letting you know we got to watch the time.
Joanna?
Mine's really quick, I promise.
Okay.
And yes, I do represent the schools. I know we all wear a lot of hats, but I'm not representing the school here. So can I make a suggestion if everyone's open to it? Can we like rename ourselves, like Kenyatta Reynolds representing whatever, Zaira Garcia representing whatever organization, just so we all kind of have a shared understanding of who we're representing in the community?
You mean go around the room and do that?
No, just like rename on the Zoom. Like,
okay.
If everyone's okay with that.
Yeah. Well, how about we leave it as an option? If people want to do that, saying what organization you're a part of, just go right in there and you know where the 3 dots are. I think it's in the right, Aaron. It's up in that upper right hand corner. You can rename yourself.
Yes.
Okay, even though I don't like it. Okay. All right. And who else?
And that's it for right now.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you all. Let's go to the next slide, please. One more that I want to walk you through very quickly, 1 minute, and then we're going to go into the topics.
Ingrid, you're going to have to reshare. Thank you.
Please, Ingrid, thank you. Okay, so this is the Sarah model. I really want you all to kind of take this to heart. This has saved me from, going over the deep end many times. I don't know if you guys are aware of this model, but it came from Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who used to do a lot of work with terminally ill patients. And she devised this model after watching people receive probably the worst feedback that you can receive, which is that you have a terminal illness. And it's since then, I think that was in the 70s or 80s, been updated and used extensively in organizational development and change management work. Because when you receive feedback, think about when you've been on a job, or when you were younger and your parents gave you feedback about what we call it constructive feedback, right? But they told you something. So in a job, for example, you received areas of, what do we call it? Areas of opportunity, the little euphemism, which means you need to fix this, okay? So there's generally shock, even if it's subtle. This is generally what human beings go through: anger, rejection, acceptance, and if you work your way through it, you can get to acceptance and help. I want you to think about this and keep this model close to heart when you're doing this very difficult work, because somebody may say something to you, or and say, well, I really felt that you harmed me, and you may be shocked because that wasn't your intention at all, and you could be angry because you may be thinking the person is just saying that to deflect it. You may reject it, but when we start as human beings accepting it, doesn't mean agreeing with it, but seeing if there's a grain of truth in it, or seeing it from that person's perspective, then you can move forward and ask for help. Help doesn't mean you're going to change who you are. It means you're going to try to understand their point of view a bit better. So I just want you to keep this model in mind as we move forward. So let's go to the next slide, please. So now we're going to get into the meat of the work for this evening, which is selecting the topics that we're going to talk about. So the options that are up here are the CAHOOTS program, crisis intervention, declaring racism a public health crisis, training on diversity, equity, and inclusion, de-escalation and bias, police policies, including use of force, complaints, early warnings, implicit bias, equipment, and transparency. The next line is diverse housing opportunities, police oversight, community engagement to improve race relations, and diverse hiring. The screening officers for bias and or affiliation with racist organizations. The recommendations from the 21st Century Task Force on Policing. Recommendations from community listening sessions, and citywide DEI policies. So those are the topics that I culled down from the listening circles and from the interviews that I did with you all, and the survey, and the public voting on the 22nd of February. So what I'd like to do now is just open it up for a few minutes of discussion. Do you guys have questions about any of these? Because we have Peggy, the city manager here, and we have Ken Savano, the chief of police, and Eric Danley, the city attorney, or is there something you'd like to add? And I believe Ingrid is capturing your ads in the background, and we're going to repopulate this. So, Aaron, if you could tell me, please, if you see any hands up regarding questions. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie, please.
Yes, my question is on the CAHOOTS program and where we are, because from what I understand, there was inquiries, or we are looking at contracts with different CAHOOTS possibilities.
So, Peggy or Chief, would either of you like to respond?
Yes, would allow me. Yeah, so we currently have a contract with Ben Adam Clymer that on my staff is being led by Deputy Chief Brian Miller, and they are working together to put together a contract that goes to council in the next few weeks that will provide for the CAHOOTS crisis response model for our community. We are looking to engage Petaluma People's Services Center as the contractor. And we've already begun procuring the van and equipment for that. And our contractor, Ben Adam Clymer, has been meeting with all of our community stakeholders and partners to make sure that we are leveraging all of the great resources that are available in this community to be successful in that effort. Our process has been recognized throughout the region, and other jurisdictions, including the county, are kind of turning to us and looking to partner with us. So we're not going to let that slow us down. We have a very aggressive timetable of July 1 to implement the actual program. Start off with a 12-hour model and work quickly to move that to a 24-hour model. So I hope that provides a general update given the time that we have left, and the city manager may want to add to it if there's anything else that she wanted to add.
Oh, you captured it, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you both.
The
Aaron?
next person we have is Sadie.
Hi, Sadie.
Sadie, if you can unmute yourself. Thank you.
Hi. I was just wondering, I came late to the committee. I can still add to this list, to this agenda?
Yes,
Okay.
if you can do it now if you'd like.
Well, I would like to bring to the table a legislation. I'd like to pass a bill in Petaluma that was recently passed in San Francisco, known as the Karen Act, which will, I don't know, I think most people here are aware of what I was recently, the situation I was recently in. And I was a victim of a crime. And it's not a law. It's actually not against the law what I went through. And I think that if that legislation and that bill is passed here in Petaluma, it will protect people like myself and others in our community from having to go through the same type of hate, discrimination, racial bias. So I would like to bring that legislation to Petaluma, and I'd like to name it the Sadie Stance. And I hope everybody will support me with this, because I think we can all benefit from it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Aaron?
Next, we have Stefan.
Hey, Stefan.
Hello. I just wanted to also echo that looking into cahoots, and I think that's pretty cool. I had just like a short question for the chief on that. Like, is that going to be like a permanent sort of thing that you're looking to have a contract for, or is it just going to be starting off as a sort of trying it out? I don't know if you could answer that.
Yes, thank you, Stefan. I will tell you that the need is great when we talk about the types of services that my staff and your police officers are providing this community. We are calling this a pilot project simply because we're starting it, but our intent is to use the pilot to refine and identify best practices and use this as a model in this region that we will see extend into other jurisdictions. So it's not a short-term plan, it's a long-term plan, but we realize that, we're starting out with a model that we've seen work in other communities, but it's new to this one. And so we want to pursue best practices and provide the best services to our most vulnerable in the community that we can. So we'll be using it as an opportunity to not only collaborate with our community partners, but look at really a whole person care approach with a lot of these community members who have the greatest need. So I appreciate the question. I see this being, very effective and very beneficial, but supported by our community partners.
Okay, thank you. I also had another question, kind of clarifying, like all these topics here, is there any more description, like the detailed description of what we kind of mean? Because what was the one that I was kind of looking at? Community engagement to improve race relations, I think is really cool. I was just wondering if there was more description to that or examples, or
you hit the nail on the head. The committee comes up with, it fleshes out what they mean by that, because it has to come from the committee. These are just, think of them as buckets, you know, like or bookmarks, holding places. And the committee defines it, and then the committee defines what we want to do about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fun,
Okay.
great.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Next, we have Fabian.
Hi, my question was actually what Stefan just answered. The clarifying if this was just like, because I'm recent addition to the committee, and I don't know if I had just like missed when we discussed what all these topics were, or if it was kind of just like a clear, like quick, like maybe like just an idea. So I was just gonna ask a quick clarifying question. But if this is just kind of like the topic, and we're gonna go from there, then that's...
Yes, because I have my interpretation of what each of these are, but that's irrelevant, right? And my interpretation is going to be biased because of the you know, I've done research, I've read, you know, thousands of pages of work on it, but that's Tracy's perspective. I don't live in Petaluma, right? I need you guys to define this and to flesh out as a group what these, you know, once you decide what you want to work on, what that means. You guys will as a group figure out what that means and what direction we go. And that's why there's no definitions here. And then there's also been a lot of discussion about these, well, most of them in the listening circles, you know, and all these other venues, you know, going forward. So they're buckets, let's just say that you guys will fill and give direction to. Next.
Pedro.
Thank you. So all these topics seem really, they all seem very important. The Cahoots program seems a little bit farther ahead, in terms of development. I'm just wondering, and this is just something that I'm thinking rhetorically, if there are other concepts where we can, or options where we can spend more time on and develop something that will be more that's maybe not as far along, but that can, if we were able to invest the time and energy, get it to pilot stage, et cetera. The other thing I wanted to just mention is representation matters, and it matters so much. And there's large segments of the community that aren't represented in city government, in our elected officials, and in our police department, across city government, and just government in general. So I know diverse hiring is up here, but perhaps we should broaden that to diverse hiring and representation, whether it's you know, representation meaning government elected officials, et cetera, and ways to diversify or maybe build a pipeline for a more so that to ensure that more of the community is reflected on the in all government spaces.
Well, thank you. Should we then amend it so it's a little bit more specific? Diverse hiring and representation in city government?
That'd be fine with me if others are in agreement.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Aaron?
Thank you. Real quickly, Mike Miller, you had your hand raised and now it's down. Do you still have a comment?
No, I don't. I'm okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Next, we have Ramona.
Yeah, just a couple things. I apologize, but I can't tell you what all the recommendations from the community listening sessions are, so I don't know how I can vote on that. And there was another box that had something about a previous meeting, I think. But I don't have that information. I mean, I remember reviewing it, but if the expectation is that we're going to identify a vote on one of these, I don't feel I have the information I need to do that. My thought too is on the diverse hiring and representation. I don't think it should be just localized to city government. I think we need to think about it across the city, not just city government, but across businesses and boards and all boards.
Okay.
And since the Cahoots program is on its way, and I don't know how much time you want to spend on whether or not we declare racism as a public health issue, but Sonoma County already has, and nationally it's stated that that racism is a public health issue. So I agree with that. I mean, we have to spend time and figuring out how to deal with it, but I don't know if I need more information behind these buckets.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, and the other thought I have, Tracy, is we only have 30 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a way that maybe we can get more information, get it ahead of time before the next meeting? If we start earlier at 6, can we then use that time with more information to do what you want to do and then give time for public input? Because I'm worried about the time.
No, I appreciate that. So here's my concern, Ramona. My concern is that I appreciate you needing and wanting, more data, because I'm a person too that needs to know what the heck I'm voting on, right? I thought, and this is not directed at you, I just want to get point of clarification, and this is to Ingrid and Aaron. Didn't we send out in the pre-work, not pre-work, but pre-reading, the recommend, or have we not sent this out? The recommendation from the listening circles, the 21st Century Task Force information on policing. Did we send that out, as well as the report that I had written? Did those go out?
Yes, Tracy, it went out with the supplemental reading. That was sent out to all the members on Friday.
Okay, and I know it's a lot of pages. It's not.
Yeah, well, that's where I read it. That's where I saw it.
Yeah.
But it's not in front of me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So my only concern is that if we don't, I think we can, I would like to, if you'll indulge me, after we get through the comments, take the vote and see where we end up. And then we can circle back and decide if as a group we're confident that these are the issues that we want to talk about next, because I want to give people time to prepare questions or thoughts on a topic, so we can actually start doing some work at the next meeting, where we're getting into this and we're going to come up with a recommendation if possible. Is that fair?
Excuse me, Tracy?
Yes.
Hi, I'm sorry. This is Claudia de la Peña, and for some reason I don't have the little hand icon at the bottom of my screen. So I would like to ask a quick question.
Yes.
I think the idea is that we're each going to look at each one of these buckets and then decide which ones we think we want to focus on, or we're going to vote on.
You're going to pick your top one.
Your top one?
Right.
I'm looking at the buckets, and in my opinion, a few of them could be combined.
Okay.
Like the police policies, the screening officers for bias before hiring, to me, could be in one bucket instead of them in two separate buckets.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the recommendations for the 21st Century Task Force policing could also, those three could be in one bucket.
Okay.
Like if I had to sit here and pick, I want all three of those.
Okay.
So,
it's a good idea.
Yeah, I just happened to notice that. And then the de-escalation, the training for de-escalation bias, I'm assuming that one is for the police as well.
Yes.
Okay, so that's, to me, that's that's one bucket containing all those four topics.
The de-escalation is the only one that would be specific to the police, right? Because the others, DEI, training on DEI and training on bias can go across. Yeah.
Correct.
Ingrid, okay, I'm sure Ingrid caught that. She'll add de-escalation. Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, and then I guess we're going to get rid of the one screen officers, or no, that's separate. I think that's separate, right? Do you agree with that?
The screening the officers?
Yeah.
To me, the screening the officers would be part of police policy, wouldn't it? And it would and the recommendations for 21st Century Task Force policing would be in the same bucket.
Right.
Yeah, I'm seeing 4 squares that to me all fit together in one.
bucket. Okay. Ingrid's doing her magic.
I see her. It's moving.
Yes,
I see
I'm
moving.
telling you, she's good at this. Okay. How she can follow my crazy train of thought, I don't know, but she's a genius. So, okay. All right. Thank you very much. Others?
Tracy, we have Lou, followed
hi, Lou. Okay. Hi, Lou.
Hi. So I just wanted to say that I think establishing some way of measuring what kind of progress is being made is important.
Mhm.
And I don't, that's not explicitly listed in any of the buckets. You
Mhm.
could say that it's part of some of the one or important thing to do to
Mhm.
figure out a way of measuring what's happening. And yeah, so I just wanted to say that.
So thank you, Lou.
We skipped the slide on smart goals, which
Right. I was just gonna discuss that. We don't need to go pull it up right now. We can talk about it next time. But there are very few things that I'll really advocate for in terms of process. But one of them is that we use the SMART goal model. You know, where when we start getting into this work, what we come up with is specific. It's measurable. I want to use a proper acronym here. You want to pull it up real quick? Go ahead, pull it up. People might want to see it.
So you're saying having a way of measuring is part of any recommendation that we would develop?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Actionable, relevant and time bound. And I will be the thorn in y'all's side on this one, okay? You know, because if you come up with a goal that, you know, and I'm going to use, I know this is going to get a lot of conversation going. Just hold it till the next. I'm doing this for theater, okay? If somebody says, well, I want to put defund the police up there, okay, what the heck does that mean, right? We have to be specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time bound. And, you know, or if it's the city should hire more people of color. No, we need to be specific. I'm just saying, once we get into the work, I'm really going to push you guys on what does that look like? How do we flesh that out? Fair enough? All right. Because in order to be able to take action, they have to be something you can hang your hat on. All right. So let's go back to the buckets, if we might, given the time. Okay. Is there more conversation? Anybody want to add anything or consolidate?
The last hand we have up is Zyra.
Oh, hi, Zyra.
Hi, thanks so much. So I'm in agreement with that some of these are, I mean, everything is intersectional because we don't want single issue lives, but I get for the framework purposes, this is what's needed. Under police oversight, can we not put that under with CAHOOT's program, because it is going to be civilian oversight. I'm pretty sure we're going to need input as a committee to establish that. So that's just my only thoughts on police oversight.
Okay.
And then the legislation piece, going to what Sadie's stance on the Karen Act. I know there's also the Clear Act. Would that also go under police policies?
Talk to me about the Clear Act. Talk to us about the Clear Act briefly, if you would.
Yeah, so the Clear Act basically is the screening of white supremacy membership.
Okay.
That is a legislation piece that is, it's not in, passed yet, but it is in the works. But the Karen Act obviously has passed in cities. So legislation, is that not also policies?
So you think? Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
go ahead. You go ahead.
So when we're talking about policies, when we're establishing policies, should we not put that what Sadie and other legislative pieces underneath police policies?
Well, the only thing, my initial reaction is, Zyra, that like with the Karen Act, right, or we'll call it Sadie's stance in this case, and for Petaluma, I think you want them to stand alone, right, so they can be discussed and fleshed out. See, I don't want to just lump it all under the police bucket. I want us to really flesh it out, because if we're sending recommendations to council on legislation, man, you want to be as specific as possible. Does that make sense? Okay, other thoughts?
Tracy, we do have, we do have Eric Danley with his hand raised.
Hi, Eric.
Thank you, Tracy. And I wanted to add in support of your observation and to offer this thought to the committee. We consistently distinguish between policies which are internally focused to guide city and action, and legislation, which is the exercise of the council's legislative and police power that can regulate behavior and intends to focus on regulating behavior and in the community generally. So that's another reason why I think it's important to keep that distinction. The implementation is quite different. The focus is quite different. And the power that the council exercises in doing that is different too. So that's another reason why I think it's helpful to draw a distinction to make sure that I think that will, and not only is that just the reality of how we work, but I think that will also help the committee get where they want to get with respect to those actions. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Okay. Any other comments?
Next person we have is Aaron, followed by Eric.
Okay.
Hi. My question is, are there currently systems or programs for restorative justice in Petaluma, not only in policing, but also say in the various school districts? Is that already implemented, or is that potentially a bucket to consider?
So I'll ask the police chief and the city manager to comment on that, please.
Yes, thank you, Aaron. Great question. We do, at least from the law enforcement side, we have been partnered with Mentor Me, which is now moved under the umbrella of the Petaluma People Services Center. And they do have restorative justice practices through that program. We began about 2 years ago referring juveniles, at least through that program, rather than juvenile probation. And it's been a very successful model. I know that they have expanded to include cases that were going to juvenile probation as well, so that even if we refer something to juvenile probation, they're referred back to our local restorative justice practices. Those are the most recent and current practices, at least from our standpoint. And I wouldn't want to comment on the schools. I'm sure they could comment as well. We have been in recent conversation through the court authorized diversion program to be sure that there are restorative justice practices included in adult criminal cases. But that has not necessarily taken off like we would like at this point. But we are pursuing that.
I can answer from the Petaluma City Schools angle. And just briefly, we also work with groups like You Thrive and Mentor Me to work with students to have restorative conversation around discipline issues. Part of that is funded through our CSI grant, which works, and I'll slow down, sorry, which works with our alternative ed schools around reducing suspensions. And so it's really looking at other means of correction that include restorative justice actions to prevent or to lower the number of suspensions that are all dead side. District-wide, we're also looking at Circle Up. We're working closely with Circle Up. That work started this year to get a group of practitioners district-wide who can host restorative circles, adult to adult, student to student, and student to adult as needed. We're still in the initial phases of that. So we're definitely not full-fledged restorative justice, but that's our long game. And we have a plan over the course of a few years to work with Circle Up Education to get us there.
Okay. So do you think we should put that as a separate bucket, restorative justice, or are you okay with where we are so far?
I vote separate bucket.
You want to put it up as a separate bucket?
I think it's up,
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Erin, I would agree that we need to work on that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. And I'm looking at the time. It's already 8:15. But we've got to get through this vote, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do. We're going to have to, I know we're going to have to run over a little bit, you guys. We have to have some public comment. That's just not good not to have it. So let's get a few more in just 2 more, if that's okay. Aaron, do we have more people in line?
Yes, we have Eric and then Hanan.
Okay. And then we'll have to stop after that. Is that okay if we stop after that, after Hanan? All right. Okay. Eric?
Yeah, thank you. So there's 12 items, and I think the process is to vote on one, and there's like a lot of overlap, and some of them are sort of nearing completion, like Cahoots, and the other 11, I'm not sure. So my suggestion is we be allowed to pick 2 options, something that gives us a little bit of latitude to include some of these other issues. A lot of us have been working on a lot of these issues.
We're limited. If we were in person, I give you guys 5 dots, right? And you go up and do the multi-voting thing, but the Zoom technology is restrictive in this. So Aaron, this is a question for you. Can they do 2? Can they pick 2?
Tracy, I think it'd be up to you and the committee. I was thinking this was going to be a roll call type vote.
It's right. Be verbal, so yes, technologically I can write down 2.
Perfect. Okay, we just answered it. So great, Eric will do it. Well, you guys can pick 2. Okay, your top 2. All right. All right, and we have one more. Who was that? Hanan?
Yeah. Hi, Tracy.
Hey.
So 2 things. One is just like a technical thing. I think it's Karen, C-A-R-E-N, Karen Act. In my conversation with the police department, I had asked that if racism was identified as a public health crisis, essentially in Petaluma, could we ask the Petaluma department to organize a task force specifically intended on addressing racism? I'm wondering if we could add that maybe to the declaring racism as a public health crisis, adding a task force.
Okay. Through the police department or just wherever in the city?
I was asking for the police department to specifically address those crimes.
Okay. 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 So how would we? Yeah. Okay. Oh, there you go. For police. Great. For police. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're now going to vote. Aaron, do you need to talk them through how to do this? And you can pick 2.
I think Julia still had her hand up.
We can get one more in, you guys, then we've got to take the vote. Come on, Julia.
Hi there. I just wanted to talk about schools really quickly, and I thought it might be good if you added it with community engagement and improve race relations in schools or alongside of schools. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you. Okay, and we are at St. Vincent's, we are doing restorative justice. It's we're working on it right now, and it will be implemented in September when the new school year starts, but it has to go through a lot of hoops because of the Catholic diocese and going into the handbook before it gets out to our students. But we're training teachers and faculty right now, and then the students will be involved in that. So wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Is that it, Aaron?
We have one more hand. This came up from Stefan.
Okay, I promise this is the last comment.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for.
No, you don't have to apologize. We need more time. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not familiar what restorative justice is. I was wondering if there was just like a quick sort of definition of what that is. I don't know if it's a quick definition or not.
Who was that? Aaron? Was that you who brought it up? Do you want to? I can do it, but I think you should do it. Aaron, are you okay?
Just so I know, like what
it is,
or not.
Or Chief, you can do it. Whomever would like to. I don't think I should be the one to do it because I have my own.
It's a conflict resolution model, Stefan, where basically it's like owning what happened and trying to heal what happened by each person having an opportunity, like expressing what they experienced and what like should happen differently. It's used a lot in schools.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're starting to use it even more in the criminal justice system for adults as well. It's picking up more popularity.
Okay.
And
All
it's
right.
also peer to peer. So
Yeah.
instead of it just going to the principal and having that be the last word, your peers actually kind of come up with a conflict. You have to sign with a resolution, and you have to sign a contract, and it can go for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 6 months. And if you break that contract, then you would go to the principal. It's all these different steps, but it's very peer to peer. You sit in a circle. So it's a lot more loving and friendly versus just you're suspended or you get detention.
Mhm.
There are several models. That's one model. I just
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Like I said, from the schools all the way through adulthood. So, okay, all right. So, Aaron, let's walk us through the vote, please.
Tracy, we have Mark Scott with his hand raised, but I will note real quickly that if we choose to go over, we will need a vote again, as we had a hard stop at 8:30.
Yep.
And we have Eric Danley now has his hand as well.
Okay, so let's go. You said it was Mark?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, let's go to Mark, then let's go to Eric.
Just real quick, Tracy, I looked ahead and saw there were some meeting polls taken, and I just thought, is that something we should go in, that the voting was from the community, or just pick them as we feel?
Well, that's a very good question. I think we should, at this point, the percentages were sent out in the staff report, that was included in the reading. And we reflected everything that was voted on there. So I don't think we have to mimic exactly what the public did at that time, because things have changed since then. The world has evolved, and I think you guys can select based upon what you feel and what the organizations that you represent, the community you represent. So Eric, you had a point.
I did, Tracy, and sorry to interrupt with it, but the Brown Act, with respect to public comment on items that are on the agenda, it calls for that occurring before action is taken. And it seems like, therefore, ideally, public comment, we'd receive that before the vote of the committee, because the idea under the Brown Act is the public comment is able to influence and inform the decision makers or the legislative body members before they take action. So if that doesn't mess up your process, I think that would be my suggestion, but I don't want to mess up the process.
Well, I think it's not a bad idea. The question is time now, right? It's almost 8:30. According to my clock, 8:23. So do we need to take a vote, committee? I'm speaking to you. I know we said we'd stop at 8:30, but you see, this takes a lot of work, and I'm sorry. But I wanted to hear from as many of you that wanted to speak. So should we take a vote and then decide if we hear from the public for, say, a half an hour and then take a vote, or like 20, 30 minutes, so we take a vote at 9 if there are that many people that want to speak? So you guys chime in.
Yes. Let's hear from the committee. I vote that we extend and hear from the public comment.
I agree, just because I third it because it will influence the way I vote or decide. I'd rather hear from the public on what their priorities are.
Agreed.
Okay, why don't we can we do a thumbs up, a visual, just so we can get I can't see them. Can you see them, Ingrid? I think Ingrid can.
I see some up and some not up. A couple of people that are not.
It would seem to make sense to do thumbs down because it looks like there's more. Thumbs.
How many thumbs? Let's do thumbs down.
Hey, Tracy, just a thought, it might be good to have a roll call vote so there's a record of it.
Okay.
I'm sure Eric would love that.
We want to keep Eric happy. Okay, so let's do a roll call vote on whether and I'm going to time bound this, we should, it's 8:25, say give 25 minutes to public comment, and then the last 5 minutes we'll vote, and then we'll sum up actions for next time. So that is the question, yay or nay. And if it's, so let's take a roll call vote. Susie, are you there, please?
Yes, I am, and I will go alphabetically again. Joel Brunner DeQueen.
Yay.
Liz Chacon.
Yay.
Angeles Cruz,
Yay.
Anne Marie Daniels,
Yay.
Claudia de la Pena,
Yay.
Ramona Faith,
Yes.
Rabbi Ted Feldman,
Yay.
Anthony Franklin,
Yay.
Johanna Garcia, Zaira Garcia,
Yay.
Hanan Hunadi, I'm so sorry, my apologies.
So it's okay. Yay.
Eric Leland,
Yes.
Sonia Lowry, Sadie Martinez,
Yay.
Julia Main,
Yes.
Mike Miller,
Yay.
Joanna Pon,
Yes.
Stefan Perez,
Yay.
Kenyatta Reynolds,
Yay.
Fabian Romo Macias,
Yay.
Faith Ross,
Yes.
Mark Scott,
Yay.
Joe Sturdivant, Risa Tinsley Green,
Yay.
Pedro Toledo,
Yes.
Catherine Wells,
Yay.
Aaron Wilkins,
Yay.
Luz Wire.
Yay.
Thank you.
And our tally is?
I believe it was all in favor. Garcia and Lowry did not respond.
Okay. Okay. So, what? I heard someone.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Because you said Garcia, but there's two Garcias.
I didn't hear you answer. Maybe you answered yay.
Yes, I did. I answered yay.
Okay. So then just member Lowry did not respond, and I think maybe is not in attendance.
Okay. Well, she was earlier, but she may have said step out. Okay, so we will now go forward and let's set the expectations that we will have 25 minutes of public comment. Now, that is not a lot of time. We'll ask the public. I hate to do this because I don't think I can say anything in a minute. Maybe we should, is the committee okay if we just limit it to 2 minutes because we have such short period of time and ask people to be very specific, weighing in on these options that are here, if they think that's sufficient, or what their thoughts are. Are you guys okay with 2 minutes?
I think that would be a pretty good use of time.
Okay, and then we'll stop it. We're gonna just have to stop it at in 25 minutes. So I will let the city folks that are helping time it, and Aaron, I'll let you run it, if you would, please.
Thank you. One quick comment on it. Normally I would share my screen with how to access public comment. Would you want me to do that or keep this list up for the audience to view?
I say keep the list up for the audience.
Okay, then I will time on my computer and you won't be able to see it.
You just tell us when we have like 5 minutes left, if you would.
Perfect.
Please.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Those wishing to participate in public comment must raise their virtual hand and wait to be called on by the moderator. Speakers are reminded to be respectful in their comments. Threats of violence and obscenity are grounds for removal from this meeting. A countdown will appear for the convenience of the speakers and viewers. Your microphone will be muted at the end of that countdown. I will have my countdown separately on the computer. I will let you know if within 20 seconds if you're about to run out of time. The first speaker will be acknowledged and invited to speak when the countdown begins. So when I ask you to unmute and again, I'll start the timer. Please make sure to unmute yourself when you're invited to do so. At this time, if there's anyone in the public that would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand. If you are participating via phone, you can press *9 as well. The first member of the public that we have is a call-in number. It is 707, well, it ends in 0694. I'll allow you to speak. You can unmute yourself and begin. Hello, are you there?
Hi, it's Jim Duffy. Yeah, I just want to put in a plug for what you're calling police oversight, and it really should be switched over to be called civilian oversight, because police oversight, that could just be more police policing the police. And on the multiple list that you have there, I think Claudia De La Pena really nailed it. Things that could fall under police oversight include cahoots, the de-escalation, police policies, the recommendations for the 21st century policing, and screen officers for biased and racist affiliation. All of those can go under police oversight. It's not something you will accomplish in 6 months. It'll probably take a year for a group to do it, but it's an important thing to have because it'll provide a place for ongoing dialogue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker that we have is Jerry 3. I'll now allow you to speak. You can unmute yourself and begin.
Hi, thanks for a great meeting. I just want to let you know, even though our first meeting sometimes seemed rambling, you are doing a wonderful job tonight and you're getting to where you need to get. And Tracy, seems like she's facilitating in a casual way. That is the sign of a very skilled facilitator, and Tracy is excellent at the work. So the two priorities I would recommend to you are civilian oversight of the police. Civilian oversight is a recommended best practice across the nation for modern policing and is recommended by the President's 21st Century Task Force on Policing, because communities that are involved in how they are policed are communities that sign off and approve of the nature of the policing that happens in their community. That means everyone's on the same page and that it works well. The other priority I think that is very worthy of consideration is declaring racism a public health crisis. When you look at public safety through the lens of public health, it really radically redefines how you look at the situation. And in every situation, the question should be, how is the public health improved? And when you look at policing through that lens, it really changes how you approach policing. So I recommend those two priorities. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker that we have is Alan. Alan, I'll now allow you to speak. You can unmute yourself and begin.
Hi, I'm actually Allegra. I'm using Alan's computer, but I wanted to say thank you very much to the committee for having this meeting and for taking these issues really seriously and having a great discussion. I agree that the civilian oversight of the police is probably one of the biggest issues that you could take on and one of the most important issues that you could take on. I'd really love to see that happen for your community, for this community. And I think that restorative justice practices are another really big piece to start considering, because we just see how that is kind of, to me, the other side of the coin of civilian oversight of police. So that's my opinion. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you. The next speaker that we have is Delashay. I will now allow you to speak. You can unmute yourself and begin.
Thank you. I also want to say thank you to Tracy. You're doing such a wonderful job. I love that you guys are coming together to talk about these very, very important issues. I have to agree with Jim Duffy that this should be called the civilian oversight, not the police oversight, because we certainly don't want the police to police themselves. We wouldn't be here tonight if that was the case. Also, I find diverse hiring and representation in city government and other city boards is so important. Having diverse diverse boards really makes a difference. And it really helps us to battle racism as we're seeing it in the forefront now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker we have is John Hanania. I will now allow you to speak. You can unmute yourself and begin.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
First of all, I want to say thank you very much to all the committee members. I know how important to put this time and effort. I'll make this short. I do agree with all the previous speakers. The police oversight, it needs to be civilian oversight, and that must be corrected. It's very important to have the public input, not the police policing themselves, because that will never work. And I agree with the previous speakers. If that was the case, we wouldn't be here right now. The CAHOOTS program, I think it's really important, the crisis intervention, the restorative justice, and I also believe the police policy, it really need to be looked into very, very seriously. That's all. Thank you all for your time. A good night.
Thank you. And Tracy, at this point, we have one more commenter.
Oh, okay.
The next public speaker we have is Betsy. I'll now allow you to speak. You can unmute yourself and begin.
Okay, I am not articulate about any of this, but I'd like to put the restorative justice item on steroids. I'd like to see community members who feel impinged upon, for lack of a better word, to be able to have a dialogue with the police. And I would like to see the police well trained in promoting and working and starting off from a restorative justice point of view. So I want to thank everybody here for their spectacular work. And that's it.
Thank you. The next speaker that we have is Sarah. Sarah, I'll allow you to speak. You can unmute yourself and begin.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for doing the work that you're doing. Thank you for doing it today. Thank you for doing it for tomorrow. Gracias a todos para venir y hacer este trabajo tan importante. I want to, I know you all know this, and I just want to get it into public comment so that it's in the record. The community engagement to improve race relations in schools, as well as within the police and in the community, is very vital so that we have all our different pillars of public support speaking and working together. In regards to diverse hiring and representation in city government and other city boards, it's vital that not only do we seek and recruit out diverse leaders, but once they get into the programs or into the work, then they need to have support. So not only identifying and addressing barriers to entry, but also barriers of retention. So mentorship programs, coaching programs, I think housing can be, money for housing, being able to have all of those things while in the work is really important to be able to retain that diverse leadership that we need in order to make and affect this change. Again, gracias por todo. Thank you all for doing what you're doing. I just came from the AHCAC meeting. These are parallel work that's happening in the schools as well as in our city. And it's important that we all work together to make it happen. Have a good evening and thank you for your work. You inspire.
Thank you. The next speaker that we have is Alcina. Alcina, I'll allow you to speak. You can unmute yourself and begin.
Hi there. Thank you so much. I'd like to just echo what everyone else has said. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing. And I would like to just say that I'm really interested in the police policies and making sure that the screening is taking place. Declaring racism a public health crisis, there's really a lot of research to support this, and civilian oversight. Thank you again so much for your work.
Thank you. The next speaker that we have is Sheila. I'll now allow you to speak. You can unmute yourself and begin.
Thank you. I'm interested in civilian oversight. And I think that's really important. And also hiring, but in hiring as in police hiring, police candidates and I guess that would be under police policies. So that candidates would possess college education, at least at the level of associates of science or associates of arts degrees, but preferably bachelor's degrees in the social sciences or some sort of diverse multicultural studies. I think it's really important, and some police officers do possess that as we speak now. But I think that it's important to do the hiring and make sure that the education is broad, wide, and includes diversity and multicultural studies. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker that we have is Josh. I'll now allow you to speak. You can unmute yourself and begin.
Thank you very much. Good evening, council, committee members and city staff and other members of the public. Really, really grateful for everybody's time tonight. I'll keep this very short. I just wanted to add my voice in support of civilian oversight as a high priority item for this committee to work through. Thank you for your service. Good night.
Thank you. And Tracy, at this point, we do not have any other hands raised, so we can close public comment.
Okay, thank you very much, Aaron, for managing that. Okay, so the committee has heard from the public, and I'd like to suggest that now we go ahead and do a vote, a roll call vote. You can pick two items, and we'll go from there. Unless, before we jump in, does anybody have any further questions from the committee?
I do.
Yes.
This is Claudia, sorry. Looking at the buckets again, I'm wondering if we could just combine the citywide DEI policies with the citywide training DEI bias.
Okay, so I mean, so it would be, both of them would be in the same bucket.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. Does anybody?
Make sense to everyone?
How does the committee feel? Any objections? I can't see Aaron, or is anybody objecting?
I don't see any objections. I saw a lot of thumbs raised though.
Okay, okay. Oh, you guys, I wish we could be in the same room. This is just, oh, you guys are doing a great job though. All right. Anything else? Anybody else have any comments before we go to the vote?
Tracy, you have about 6 hands raised.
Okay.
So we have Eric first, followed by Mike.
Perfect. Eric?
Yeah, I'd like to move that we, I don't know if move is the right word. Where'd it go? Change police oversight to civilian police oversight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, Aaron, who's next?
Mike is next.
I was going to say the same thing. I second that motion, wanted to rename it to civilian police oversight.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Zaira.
It's the same with the civilian oversight, but also I don't know if we caught one of the commenters, Jim Duffy, had also bucketed under civilian police oversight, and I don't recall. I believe it was cahoots. Was that my misunderstanding, or I guess I want a recall of that public comment. Is that possible?
I don't know, Aaron. Is that possible or not? I mean, in this period of time, I don't know.
And if not, then it's all right.
For this one, I defer to Eric Danley.
Not recall. My apologies. Not recall. Just I don't remember what Jim Duffy, who commented about civilian police oversight, and then had placed cahoots, I believe, underneath the civilian police oversight.
Oh, okay. You're not sure if you did that. Okay. So Eric, is there a way to recall that, not recall it, but to bring that comment back up?
Well, I don't know if any of the staff, other staff or other members recall that, it's helpful once we conclude public comment to leave it concluded, because then others may join and we may not finish.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
thank you. I just wanted to bring that out there. Thanks.
I think you're right for my memory.
I think he was asking for it to be under community oversight instead of police oversight of cahoots, is what he was saying, I believe.
Right. Yes. Does anybody in opposition to that?
So it would say community oversight. Oh,
Does that look right? Like cahoots would be part of something that would be overseen by a
this committee, a civilian committee?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And
All
if
right.
others who have heard, I think Anne Marie and then another person had also validated that. So I just want to make sure that that's correct as well.
Okay.
I like the
Thank
way
you.
that it is. I think that the cahoots program should move forward. I see civilian police oversight as our version of the IOLERO, which might have jurisdiction over what cahoots does, but I like that they're separate.
I see. Okay. No, then that's fine. I'll take that one back. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're gonna not put cahoots under civilian police oversight.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. I
I thought
appreciate
it
it.
was good where it said including cahoots under civilian. I think that looks good.
Okay. All right. Okay.
That was Ramona.
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate on the public comments regarding in order to improve race relations, we really need to include all sectors of our community.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one sector that's going to fix race relations. It's going to be, it takes in the entire community. So even where it says in the bucket, in schools also, when I looked at community engagement to improve race relations, that was community across the board.
Yeah.
So I don't want to even say, oh, in schools also. I think it needs to reflect all sectors of the community. We need to engage our community to improve race relations, and that we can determine what we have to do for that, but it includes all sectors. Businesses, schools, law enforcement, healthcare, everyone.
Okay. I think she caught that. Okay. Thank you. All right. Anybody else, Aaron?
Yes. Next we have is Kenyatta.
Hey, Kenyatta.
Hi, Tracy. Okay, so two things. Thinking of Sarah S's comments. I think that the restorative justice, I think that falls into the community engagement to improve race relations, because I feel like I don't think it needs, I think that falls into that. If anybody else is opposed, let me know, but I feel like that those two orange things could be into one. And then another thing, she was talking about the diverse hiring representation. I think the diverse hiring needs to fall outside of just Petaluma, right? And so that then includes marketing, and who are we marketing to, and how are we finding that diverse population? Because I think we kind of just keep it here. And so I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but that's what I heard in her comment.
Okay. I think Ingrid's catching it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right. Okay, got it. So Kenyatta, did you want to get rid of restorative justice as a separate bucket?
I think that restorative justice falls into community engagement.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I don't know if it needs its own bucket. We can ask other people, but I don't think it needs its own.
Yeah, I think community engagement is broad enough to include it. So okay, all right. And how many more do we have, Aaron?
We have two more.
Okay, after these two, let's vote.
We have Aaron followed by Stefan.
Okay.
Regarding the vote, we have 2 votes, and then how many buckets are we coming to a consensus on?
1, 2, 3, 10. There are 10 buckets.
sorry, in the end, like, are we gonna only work on 2 buckets or based on?
Let's see how it comes out, because you don't know statistics. I don't know how, I can't predict, arithmetically how it's going to come out yet. I mean, if we came out with 5, then the goal would be 1 per each meeting, right? But that's artificial because it depends on how deep the conversation is. The goal is not the number, right? The goal is the depth and the quality of the work product. So I'm not trying to not answer you, but that we got to see how this plays out. Is that a fair answer?
Got it.
Okay. All right. We have anyone else? Stefan?
Lastly, Stefan.
Okay.
Hello. I just wanted to give my opinion on keeping restorative justice separate,
Mhm.
only because it feels like it's like pretty important. Like it's been brought up a number of times,
Mhm.
and I'm still not quite clear on it. So if I vote, I just want to know exactly what I'm voting on, just to keep it kind of separate, if that's okay.
Mhm.
Like that's just kind of my opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can, if you want to keep it separate, we can, and then people who want to vote just for that can, or if they want to vote for the other bucket, community engagement, that also includes it, it can do it that way as well.
It sounds like maybe, Stefan, you might need to do some Googling. There's a lot of terms I think that maybe that are in these things that maybe you don't know yet. But it might be
just that one.
It might be behoove you just to maybe Google some of the things.
Because it's very rich. There's a lot under restore. That's why I didn't want to answer it, because it's so rich.
Yeah, see that there's quite a bit. It seems people seem very on it.
Broad. Okay, so that's it, right, Aaron?
We have 2 new hands raised.
You guys don't want to. You don't want to go to bed, right? Okay, come on.
I don't want to go to bed, Tracy. Not while all of this needs to be done.
Who is that? Who is that speaking?
That's me, Anne Marie.
Oh, hi, Anne Marie. No, right. My favorite song is I love opera. Nessun dorma. No one sleeps. No, we're not sleeping during this stuff. We can't.
Please sings. Now, I was just raising my hand to second having restorative justice separately, but I do think that probably by the time we vote, if restorative justice comes up, first, then it'll probably involve a community engagement discussion and vice versa. But I do want to focus on that because there were so many comments on that. I mean, even the Sadie stance, and we talked about the Clear Act. Like if we just talked about legislation, that also might, expand into legislation involving restorative justice or our hiring practices.
Right.
So,
right.
So I just was raising my hand to second, but also talk a little more.
Okay. Thank you. And we have one more?
Yes, we have Mike Miller.
Okay.
Hi, Tracy.
Hey, Mike.
I just wanted to bring up, with the Cahoots program already in a pilot stage and already approved by the City Council, and the ultimate goal of this committee to be to make recommendations to the City Council for things to bring up, is that kind of redundant to sort of vote on something that's already happening?
That's a thought. That's a thought. I mean, these votes are precious, right? You allocate them where you think they're going to have the most impact. So I'll leave that up to each committee member, but thank you for your input there, because that is a true statement. It's already in pilot stage. Okay, so that's it right here. Thank you, Mike. Mark, I'm sorry. That's it, right?
Just clarification real quick. Anne Marie, did you have another comment, or are you good?
I think she's good.
No, I'm good. My hand was still raised from the last time.
Technology. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So let's get Susie, if she would please, to do the roll call vote. And you pick 2. Remember, you're going to, from this list of 11, you're going to pick 2.
Great. And Ingrid or Nancy, if I could have a second person to help tally, that would help.
I'm going to be tallying. If you just give me a minute, we changed the list around. So I have a little grid on my paper and I'm going to remake it. You just give me a minute and then I'll be ready.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Joel Brunner DeQueen.
Last name is pronounced DeKeen.
And thank you. My two votes are, one is for police policies. And as an educator, I also would like to delve into community engagement to improve race relations and restorative justice.
Okay. Liz Chacon.
The civilian police oversight, and my second is community engagement to improve race relations and restorative justice.
Angela's Cruz.
My first would be police policies, and my second, diverse hiring and representation in city, government, etc.
All right. Anne Marie Daniels.
In the interest of being specific, I'd like to have civilian police oversight and restorative justice.
Thank you. Claudia de la Pena.
My first would be civilian police oversight, and my second is community engagement to improve race relations and restorative justice.
All right. Ramona Faith.
I'm going to go with community engagement to improve race relations and civilian oversight, police oversight.
Rabbi Ted Feldman.
Community engagement and diverse hiring.
Thank you. Anthony Franklin.
I'm going to go with police policies and Sadie stance.
Thank you. Johanna Garcia. Oh, can you repeat that?
Police policies. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. And community engagement.
Excellent. Zaira Garcia.
Not gonna lie, this is tough, but my priority is civilian police oversight, as well as community engagement to improve race relations, restorative justice to also hear the community. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's see. Hanan Hunadi.
The CAHOOTS program and diverse hiring.
In diverse hiring, okay. Thank you. Eric Leland.
Civilian police oversight and the CAHOOTS program.
All right. Sonia Lowry. Is she still with us? Let's see.
Susie, I do not see her on the panelist list anymore.
Okay, okay, I will make a note of that. Sadie Martinez.
The Sadie stance and community engagement to improve race relations and restorative justice.
Thank you. Julia Main.
Civilian police oversight for number 1, and number 2, community engagement to improve race relations and restorative justice.
Thank you. Mike Miller.
Police policies would be my primary, and civilian police oversight would be my secondary. Thank you very much.
Joanna Pond.
I'm going to say civilian police oversight and police policies.
Thank you. Stefan Perez.
My first choice will be civilian police oversight, and second, community engagement will be my second.
Thank you. Kenyatta Reynolds.
I would like to vote civilian police oversight as well as community engagement, with the thought that Sadie stance would also fall underneath community engagement.
Okay, thank you. Fabian Romo Macias.
Hi, I would like to support the diverse hiring and representation in the city as well as police policies.
Thank you. Faith Ross.
Can you hear? Oh,
There you are, yes.
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, community engagement to improve race relations and diverse hiring and representation in city government.
Thank you. Mark Scott.
Community engagement and CAHOOTS program.
Joe Sturdivant.
Susie, it looks like we may have lost Joe.
I just saw that too. Okay, I will make a note. Risa Tinsley Green.
I'd like to support community engagement / restorative justice as well as the CAHOOTS program.
One second.
Could you hear me?
Yes, I could. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Pedro Toledo.
Diverse hiring, number one, and police policies, number two.
Thank you. Catherine Wells.
Community engagement and diverse hiring.
Thank you. Erin Wilkins.
Police policies and community engagement.
And Lou Zwire.
Community engagement and civilian police oversight.
Thank you. Tracy, that concludes the roll.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to wait just a moment for the total so we can have a ranking.
I'm going to go ahead and type in the numbers that I have, and before we finalize, I'm going to ask Susie to double check that she has the same numbers.
Okay.
I had 4 for CAHOOTS. I had 9 for police policies. I had 12 for civilian oversight. I have 17 for community engagement. I have 7 for hiring. I have 2 for Sadie's stance and 1 for restorative justice on its own. Let me just do that math. It should be, we had 26 voting, so there should be 52 total. Is that what you got, Susie?
You have total 52, yes. And there was one extra cahoots as an add-on. Oh no, I'm sorry. There was one from Kenyatta adding the Sadie stance with attached to community engagement. If Sadie stance could be can be combined with community engagement.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Just check. Okay.
That was
So I think we should make a note of that.
An extra wish list.
Yeah.
17.
I can hear Ingrid's brain working.
Okay, so that's 52 votes, and that sounds right because we have 26
Okay.
votes.
Yes.
All right.
In one case, community engagement included Sadie stance also.
Right. I put a note in that box.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, I think we can see the numbers. So the where we have the most energy is around community engagement to improve race relations, which includes restorative justice and to reflect all sectors of the community, business, schools, etc. The next highest would be civilian police oversight. The next would be police policies. And the next would be diverse hiring and representation in city government. And then it would be, let's see, move your.
Cahoots?
Yeah, cahoots. Yeah, okay, that's it. So so that means if you guys are all in agreement, which it looks like the majority certainly is, we will start with this broader topic, which is great because then we can, massage it as a committee, community engagement to improve race relations and restorative justice. Let's start there, all right, for our next meeting. So what I am going to request is that each of you come up and you can work with your constituents, the constituents that you're representing. 3 key, and I'll tell you why I'm picking 3. The human brain works best with 3. It really does. It can remember 3 things. It's easy for the brain to park in those 3 areas. Come up with 3 key points that you want to share about the topic, 3 points of view, and then 3 innovative ideas for implementing change or solution. So don't judge yourself, at this point, sort of an individual brainstorm with your group that you represent. Fair, is that clear? So 3 points, with your thoughts about the topic or directions you might want to go, and then 3 innovative ideas for implementing change or solutions. Now we're going to massage these. We're going to really work with them. But if you bring those 2 sets of 3 items to the meeting, it'll really help move the conversation along. Fair enough? All right. I'm sorry we went over. I am very sorry. We had a lot of housekeeping to do. We're not going to have to do all of this next time. So are we in agreement? Or are we going to do a poll? You guys tell me. We can either say we're going to do 6 to 9 next time, or we could do a poll that we send out to you guys, seeing if that's what you want to do. So quick feedback here.
It looks like 6 to 9 might work, as it's only 9:08 right now. Had we started at 6, we would have been done at 9.
Yeah. Should we try that for the next time? So we can,
yes,
okay, perfect.
Please.
Okay, give yourselves a hand. You guys did yo person's work. I'm not gonna say yeoman, yo person's work. You really did. And the participation, please continue to chime in, share your opinions. You guys were respectful of each other. It was wonderful. And this is your meeting, it's your city, and we're gonna make it better together.
So I have one question. If I may ask a question,
you may.
So between if we come across information that we want to share with the group, can we share it and not discuss it, or would that be considered a problem under the Brown Act?
That's a question for Mr. Danley. Eric?
I actually am going to jump in. Eric, I'm just going to jump in.
Go ahead.
if you want to send it over to Aaron, he can distribute it to the group. That
That's
way
what I was
nobody
gonna
will fly
suggest.
all and, yep.
Okay,
Yep,
because there
yep.
might be some literature out there that we can share.
Absolutely. And I'd encourage you to do that. That would be wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Tracy, I have a question or
Yes.
comment. Sondri, I just got an email, a text from her, and she said her internet went down.
Okay. Are you still there, Faith?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I think she can circle. Let's see, let me think about this. I think we have enough of a quorum without her. And I think we're okay because we'd be going outside of the Brown Act if we, go have separate conversations. But she can also watch the video, the part where her internet died, and catch herself up. Okay. All right. I think that's it. So I think I need to make a motion that the meeting, or I would need somebody to make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
Tracy, we do have one last hand raised by Fabian.
Oh, okay, Fabian, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just wondering if there's any chance that this the graph in front of us can be shared to the group before next meeting, just to in case anyone needs a refresher, or to kind of see where the focus is on by next meeting.
Is Eric, is that okay?
Absolutely. And again, I think that's if
Part of the
staff
minutes.
can facilitate that.
Yeah, we can attach it to the minutes.
Yep. And I've also provided Aaron a Brown Act guide in case that's helpful for the members.
Perfect. Oh, that'd be very helpful. Thank you. Okay. So would someone like to make a motion that the meeting be adjourned?
I'll make the motion that the meeting be adjourned.
Okay, thank you. And is there a second?
I second.
A second.
All right, a lot of seconds. I heard thirds and fourths. Okay, so there's the gavel. Meeting's over. You guys, please have a wonderful evening and please be safe.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you,
Thank you.
Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.